Satan is good. Satan is our pal.
The Burbs from 1989 is a cult classic spooky comedy. And there's a work print of this movie that's about 7 minutes longer than the theatrical cut. And this version has a completely different ending. I'm a big fan of this movie, so I had to check this stuff out. There's a lot of funny stuff here. Let's get into it. The Burbs is a movie I didn't see until I was in my late 20s. With a cast, I'm honestly surprised it took me that long to actually check this movie out. The TV series starring Keke Palmer came out earlier this year, and while I've yet to check that out, this movie has grown to be one of my favorite spooky comedy films of all time. This workprint was something Arrow Video made available on the 2014 release, as well as the Shout Factory Shout Select 2016 release and their recent 4K. The 2016 Shout release is the one we're taking a look at today. That's the one all this footage is from. It's a digitized VHS from Joe Dante's personal collection. And this is the stuff I live for, so let's check this thing out. All in all, there are 33 differences between the two versions. 16 scenes include alternate footage, 13 scenes are extended, 2 scenes are actually a bit shorter, and 1 has alternate dialogue. I'm going to show you just about every change except for a few that are just small and I feel negligible. But if you want to know every difference, be sure to check out the link in the description below. There's a link to moviecensorship.com's article about the changes. This is a great resource for this type of thing. So the alternate footage starts immediately with the workprint, beginning with an older Universal logo. The iconic zoom-in shot from the beginning of the theatrical cut isn't included here. I would imagine at this point the effects shot just wasn't complete for that, That's why it's not there. Instead, the Klopek house is shown just a little bit sooner. The next change is an extended scene. It's only about 10 extra seconds, but I think it's worth a look. It's an extra shot of Tom Hanks' character Ray from inside the Klopek house. The scene with Bonnie explaining that she's mixing seeds to Rumsfeld, and they talk some smack about the neighbor, is extended. I personally aspire to one day own a house and talk smack about the neighbors with my hot wife. This goes on, and when Art whistles at Bonnie, she playfully waves back and says, "Hi!" Of course, this pisses off Rumsfeld, and he tells her,
Why don't you put some clothes on?
"Hey man, marrying a baddie ain't for everyone." Another scene extended in the workprint is Ray telling Art about his plans for his week, and showing him his toolbox.
This? No, it's not. A plane has a razor blade in it, and, you use it to shave wood. This is like a...
It's cut a little bit different, and has some extra dialogue, and more of Art ogling Bonnie. Let's face it, there's really nothing too consequential here. Then we have our first entirely new scene in the workprint. So we have Ray outside grilling up some meat, and he's scratching at his bee stings. He and Carol have a kind of a fun back and forth here.
Now they can never accuse us of being rude or unfriendly because you've taken the initiative.
And it's not a bad scene. I like seeing her make fun of him.
Thank you, Carol.
And it ends with him accidentally setting the fire ablaze and pouring his beer on it. There's some alternate footage in the scene in the theatrical cut where Ray says,
"Hey, I'm gonna go do something productive. I'm gonna go watch television."
And then we see him watching Jeopardy with Carol. The next shot is of Ray eating cereal right out of the box, trying to talk to her more about the Klopeks and Art's thoughts on it.
Carol, you know what Art said to me today?
But she's typing and she really isn't paying him much attention here.
Honey, did you hear what Art said today?
There's also some alternate footage when Art sneaks up to Ray's window to get him outside. And they're different for continuity reasons that line up with the scene before. So in the theatrical cut, Art knocks on the window and Ray goes outside, leaving Carol watching Jeopardy. But in the workprint, they're not watching Jeopardy, so Ray is still going on about the Klopeks, and Carol is typing, briefly engages in conversation with him, and then goes back to typing and just kind of ignores him. When Corey Feldman's character Ricky is telling his girlfriend about Ray and Art, his dialogue is different as well.
See the guy with the curly hair? That's Mr. Peterson. Now he's like the skeptic. Now see the fat guy? That's Mr. Weingartner. Now, he hasn't worked all summer. His wife's away and, he's going a little bit stir-crazy.
It's a much different description, and is more about Art than Ray. It makes it seem like Ricky knows less about the situation than he does in the theatrical cut. Comedy movies are different when it comes to, assessing what scenes are worth keeping in, because it can either add to the plot or it can just be funny. Or in the case of a Workprint or something, sometimes they're just different. There's also an extended scene with Art going through the Klopek's trash. He doesn't find anything and borderline attacks the garbage men. One of them portrayed by frequent Joe Dante collaborator Dick Miller. If you're like me, you cherish any screen time you can get of Dick Miller. Film royalty, in my opinion. Anyway, there's a bit of extra dialogue in the scene where Carol and Ray argue in the kitchen as well.
What am I acting like, Carol? I'm acting like a guy who's on vacation!
Then the scene where they investigate Walter's house is completely different, but it's actually a little bit shorter than the theatrical cut scene. In the Workprint, Rumsfeld actually climbs a ladder while bickering with Art about the Klopeks. Then he breaks a window to get in on Ricky's suggestion.
Why don't you break a window?
Don't break the window.
Why did you tell him to do that?
Because I figured he would.
And eventually, after some more chatter, Rumsfeld emerges and lets them know it's empty, but that he found his wig left behind. Now, these are different, but I think I'm more accustomed to the theatrical cut, probably just because I've watched it more, so I prefer that. The nightmare sequence is different as well, and worth noting that he falls asleep watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. But anyway, the scene is about 40 seconds longer. In the theatrical cut, Carol is shouting at Ray and we see him on the grill. The Workprint then shows Ray in the living room, and he sees what's assumably the Klopeks in their little cultist outfits. He sees a vision of himself with Carol and their son in the dining room. He tries to get in the room but ends up on the grill anyway. And after this, the Workprint has more of his torment on the grill. It's a very strange sequence, but it kind of rules. And it's about another 40 seconds longer. The Workprint also plays much more into the idea that Ray lost his job, and he's feeling guilty about not telling Carol the truth about it. Honestly, I think that element just makes the film a little bit more dynamic and interesting for me. When Art falls off the ladder over the fence, the theatrical cut shows from the other side of the fence. The Workprint shows the side he falls on. There's a few more lines added in when the group of neighbors heads over to the Klopeks and go inside, but nothing very impactful. Mostly just the Klopeks talking about their paintings. The scene where Ricky's friends show up is also extended a bit in this version. It shows a whole line of communication between Rumsfeld, Art, and Ray while this is going down. Art has got to be one of my favorite film characters of all time. Rick Ducommun, rest in peace, man. These two together is just comedy gold. The Workprint also changes the scene where Art and Ray are in the house.
Ray, how about if we start in the kitchen? They probably got cold beer in there.
All right, Art, we'll start in the kitchen and work our way down to the basement. How's that?
Once again, pure comedy gold, man.
What's the matter? There's no beer.
There's a quick bit added at the end of this as well, with one of Ricky's friends noticing Bonnie hanging out the window.
I'm hot.
Oh, I'll say. Hey, how's about I come down there and break your goddamn arm?
Once again, this does not sit well with Rumsfeld. But there's nothing too special in this scene. So let's move forward to the ending. The alternate ending. This is wildly different than the theatrical cut. In this version, we see more of the neighbors talking to the cops, including Corey Feldman, who is desperate to get to the pizza guy and collect his warm Italian pie.
Oh, I gotta go, man. The pizza dude's here. Hey, I need to go see the pizza.
We still have Klopek showing up in the ambulance, but it deviates from there. Carol is trying to get Art to apologize to Ray. Just as they open up the ambulance so he can apologize, they see Klopek trying to kill him, and then he gets arrested while talking to the cops. He actually has a lot of funny lines in his whole speech here. That's the best part of this alternate ending, is his little speech here.
You paint your house the wrong shade of pink. You buy the wrong kind of car. You make one or two human sacrifices.
Ray reveals he actually lost his job and isn't really on vacation, and then he and Carol talk about going to the lake for the weekend. It ends with the Mr. Rogers theme. Beautiful end, in my opinion, to one of the greatest and most underrated cult classics from the 80s. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. This is such a good movie. Let's talk more about it. I'd love to hear from you guys.